Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm the Atom Particle, and today we'll be reviewing Jade War, written by Fonda Lee, which is the second book in the Greenbone Saga series. And I just want to say, my god, what a sequel. So for this review, I will be avoiding spoilers from Jade War and its previous book, Jade City. I'll be doing this because I understand if someone wants to just make sure it is a solid series of books and if they want to decide to invest their time in something. I know it's frustrating when something has like a really strong start and then kind of tapers off by the end, but at that point you've invested so much time. At that point you just want to finish the series. I kind of wish I knew that when I got into Game of Thrones. But I will be talking about the first book in very broad strokes because this book pretty much picks up directly after the events of the first book. This book is definitely the middle point in a series. You won't be able to pick it up without the context of the first book, but you also won't be left very satisfied by its conclusion, as there's a whole nother part of this story that needs to be told. But that being said, it does everything a middle point in a series needs to do. So part of my criticism from what the first book was that Janloon and K-Con felt very isolated, and everything really happened around the core cast of characters. In the sequel, the world just blows up and we're introduced to so many new people, cultures, and different countries. And we also get a whole new cast of characters as the Call family shrinks and grows. It's now a very different war being fought between No Peak and the Mountain. The clans are now looking to expand outside of K-Con and to distribute their jade. They are also looking to set up small businesses, enter different industries just to increase the cash flow into their clans. Like I said, one of my main criticisms from the first book was that everything felt very isolated, but now just opening the world up really brought in new perspectives, and we see a major cultural shift within K-Con and within the clans, and we have to see them struggle and adapt to this ever-changing world. A major aspect of this novel is that the clans now have to balance geopolitical beliefs, laws, and different cultures while finding that balance between their own culture and belief and what it means to be a Jade warrior. An example of this is the character Hilo, who still very much wants to uphold the values of the Jade Warrior and still wants to conduct business a lot like one. But to balance this perspective, there's characters like Shay who are a lot more pragmatic. She understands the importance of having to change and adapt to this rapidly changing world and become more globalized. These different perspectives and these different attitudes open up doors to new alliances, but also new enemies. A lot of the time, these other entities don't operate with the same values or the same strict policies that the clans share. While it's not as heavy on action, this book still delivers some very jaw-dropping moments, and it's just hard to put down. It feels like every few pages there's something new that just reels you in and makes you question what's going to happen next. Once again, this story is being told through multiple different perspectives. A lot of them are still within the Call family, but this cast has changed and shrank and has expanded in a lot of different ways. But something that's consistent between all the characters is seeing them having to accept and be able to adapt or resist against all the major changes happening within their city and their family. We also see a lot of the characters mature and grow as this story spans across 5 years, and there's some major political events as well as a lot of just more interpersonal and family events taking place within it. Whoa, I changed shirts. So like I said, the cast of characters has changed, and this time around we get to see the perspectives of a lot of characters who existed in the first book, but we didn't really get to go into too much depth with them the first time around. An example of this can be seen with the Make family. They have recently married into the Cal family, as Hilo married Wen, the sister. We can kind of get a sense of how she plays into the family dynamics and how and what her influences are within the family, but this time we get a lot more of a first-hand account and really get to see this character develop and grow and just kind of see exactly what she'll do for the family. She has the unique perspective of being a stone eye, which means she can't use the power of jade, and that's kind of stigmatized within the society. It's kind of seen as bad luck or misfortune onto the family, and it's kind of looked down upon. Hilo really doesn't believe in a lot of those old stigmatizations and is just a lot more accepting of people, and that's kind of what is great about his character and how he's able to really just embrace differences in some ways. But focusing more on Wen, she quickly became one of my favorite characters within this book. She's seen as very shrewd and cunning, and will go to incredible lengths to protect her family or do anything that will give them an advantage over the mountain clan. Or she has this subtlety to her that Hilo really lacks, but also very much sees the big picture and in maybe less conventional ways that makes her stand out from Shay. Like I said, she'll go to extreme lengths to protect her clan, but will also be very proactive in protecting them, taking risks to ensure the clan's safety down the road, even if there's not an immediate threat. And it's cool to see a character who doesn't have that protection or that almost sense of immunity that a lot of Jadebone warriors have, be able to play into it and have a major role within all these interclan politics. And another perspective that gets a lot more of attention this time around is Andon's. The first time I didn't really care as much for this character as I did for the other characters. He was just kind of going through a almost like coming of age, going through high school, kind of figuring out all that. And I don't know, I guess just at my point in life I didn't relate to that as much. This time around he has a lot more to do, and he's just put in a really interesting situation. He is kind of forced to move to a different country, Espia, which is where Shay went to college before, and this creates a very fish out of water feel. He's just surrounded by new cultural perspectives, and entirely new environment, and just new people as well. We really get to see him mature and grow and figure out who he wants to be in a setting that's just completely alien to him. This perspective also gives me insight to some of the struggles a lot of immigrants may have to face. I grew up in one city and haven't moved my entire life, so I haven't had to struggle with that. But this perspective kind of shows a lot of the struggles, like overcoming the language barrier, just an extreme sense of isolation at times, but also finding community within this completely different world, pretty much. So I really appreciated this perspective, as it's just something I haven't had to deal with or haven't really had to think about, and it just feels like I really learned a lot from that. That being said, I haven't had to go through this, so I think this could be accurate. Again, I know everyone's has a different situation. It just gave me something to think about. It also opened the world a lot more. We got to see parts of Espia and kind of how they do business, some of their cultures, and a lot of the subcultures part of it. We also can kind of see how cultures adapt and change to different situations and different environments. It also narratively opens the doors to a lot more possibilities. Fonda Lee just continues to take you down paths that you don't really see coming. The Mountain Clan, they continue to remain a constant threat. So there's a good balance between some of the more current objectives the No Peak Clan is trying to succeed, but also knowing that there is the mountain they have to deal with. It feels like this time around we also get to see a lot more of Ayet. In my first review, I kind of compared her to being almost a parallel to Shay, except she doesn't have that same connection to her family. She's very much just focusing on her big plans, her strategies, and will do anything to succeed. So it's just very interesting to see the Call family having to go up against someone who is very much just just a force of nature, and will stop at nothing to succeed. This creates a sense that no peak is constantly scrambling to catch up and will find more unique and innovative ways of keeping up to the Mountain Clan. A character that I also forgot to mention in my first review was Biro. He's a petty criminal, but will do anything to get his hands on Jade and make a name for himself. He's constantly a part of really major events, but still kind of goes unnoticed and flies under the radars of the larger clans. His perspective takes us away from the core cast of characters, but does provide insight into a lot more of the criminal underground activities taking place and some of the social change that is also taking place in Janloon. Kind of gives a sense of mystery, or maybe not mystery, but a sense of uncertainty that anything can change at a moment, and that there is still a lot of different forces acting against the Kahl family. So since the world is opening up, there is a lot less focus on Janloon and KCON. Each of the new locations introduced do feel very unique and have a very different life to them, and you do get a sense that each of the cultures are very present and vibrant as well. We visit multiple different locations outside of just KCON and Espia, and each one has a very different feel and vibe to it, and each environment does feel lived in and has its own history. Sometimes the cultures do come across as a little bit one note, but I interpret this as just being seen through the eyes of the main characters and them not fully realizing the different cultures or having their own stereotypes and stigmas against the different cultures. Evidence of this can be seen in the KCON subculture that exists within Espia. It has changed and adapted to its new environment, but does get more and more fleshed out as Andon gets more accustomed to his new environment and also gets more involved in the activities taking place there. But yeah, overall, this is just a great sequel and a great follow-up to an already solid foundation. It deals with a lot of the fallout from Jade City, but also sets up a lot more conflict to come, and just opens the doors to a lot more possibilities and threats to the Kahl family. This time around, the stakes do seem a lot higher, as the decisions made by the Kahl family have more of a global impact rather than just affecting what's happening in KCON. So yeah, if you read the first novel, just do yourself a favor, read this one, and continue with its sequels, as it just builds and builds upon the foundation already laid out in Jade City. It also goes above and beyond in compensating and explaining some of the issues in Jade City. This sequel also elevates that first book to the next level. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite series, and yeah, I'm just so excited to see what happens next. I don't know if I should rank these or come up with a ranking system. I guess if I'm using like the tier list, I would consider this an S tier. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I highly recommend the series, and I hope you come back for my review of Jade Legacy. I hope you come back for my review on the final installment in this series. Oh my god. I hope you all come back for my review on the final book in the series, Jade Legacy. I'm never going to get through this. I hope you all come back for my review of the final book in the series, Jade Legacy, and then my series retrospective that will be coming out the week after that. But yeah, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.